Have you ever had a great idea while you're in the middle of something and thought, oh, I'll make note of that when I'm done? There's no way I'm going to forget that. And then a few minutes later, you're racking your brain trying to figure out what the heck it was that you were thinking about. It happens to me all the time if I don't take note of the ideas at the time I think them. And I can't even blame it on age. It happened just as often 20 or 30 years ago as it does now. The average person has 6,000 thoughts per day. So if you count for sleep, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 every minute. You need to take note of the ones that matter if you don't want to risk losing them. If you're in Apple's ecosystem, Apple Notes is a great way to capture those thoughts and ideas when they come to you. It's available on almost all Apple's devices. It syncs between them quickly, and there's a bunch of ways to capture notes quickly on all of them. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up all your different devices to get those ideas from your head into your notes system with as little friction as possible. On Mac OS, there's a couple of quick capture options for Apple Notes that are built into the system. The first one is what's called a hot corner. Hot corners let you set different corners of your screen for different commands. So when you move your mouse into the corner, you'll get that. So in this case, I've got the bottom left corner set to quick notes. So you can see when I move down there, the little note indicator pops up. If I click on that, it creates a new note. So that's a brand new quick note. And you can quickly capture anything that you're thinking or any ideas that just popped into your head while you're working on other things. The hot corners will work no matter what app you're in. If you move your mouse to the corner, it pops up. So you can enter your stuff into the new quick note here. And then when you save it, that quick note is now part of your notes app. If we go back down and do it all over again with another quick note, I have mine set to open the same note. It always opens the same quick note when I pull up a quick note. I prefer to have one note that has sort of a running list of all the things that I want to deal with or ideas I've had or whatever it is, rather than have a whole bunch of individual quick notes. I just find it easier to sort through a single note and file things into other notes or delete them or add tasks to my task list, whatever it is. I find it easier if they're all in one place. To change that option, you go to Note Settings. So go to the Notes menu at the top and then Settings. And in here, there's a checkbox to always resume to last quick note. So you can turn that on or off depending on what your preference is. But if this is turned on, like I have it here, whenever you use the hot corner or the keyboard shortcut, which I'm about to show you, it'll always resume to the last quick note that you were working on. So the other quick capture option on macOS is a keyboard shortcut. The default keyboard shortcut for a quick note is globe or function Q. So if you press that on the keyboard, again, same thing. In my case, I've got it set to open the same note, so I get the same quick note that I just opened. But it gets you to exactly the same place as the hot corner does. It really comes down to whether you prefer to use the mouse or to use a keyboard shortcut to get to it. They both get you to the same spot. You can also change the keyboard shortcut. Personally, I'm not crazy about Globe Q because on the Apple Magic Keyboard, at least, the Globe key is way on the other side. So I end up having to use two hands and I usually end up having to search for the Globe key. So I prefer to use something that I can do with a single hand that's just kind of where my hands are all the time anyway. You can change the keyboard shortcut that's assigned to it in System Settings. Okay, I'm in System Settings. Now you want to go to Keyboard, so it's towards the bottom of the list of all the different options in the left menu. Then when you get into the keyboard settings, click the Keyboard Shortcuts button, and Mission Control is where you'll find this. I have no idea why that's where they've chosen to put it. It would have made a lot more sense to me to put it in something that's text related, but the quick note option is right here. So you can see in my case, I've left it to the default for this video. So it's showing the Globe Q, or if you have a non-Apple keyboard, the Globe key is effectively the same thing as the function key. So if you have a keyboard that isn't from Apple, it's probably labeled FN, but either way, it's either Globe or function. And if you want to change that, if you double click on it, then you can put in whatever, you just press whatever keyboard shortcut you want, and it'll reassign it to your chosen shortcut, whatever it might be. These hot corners are set from the settings, System Settings. In System Settings, you want to go to Desktop and Dock, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a button here for hot corners. And you can see on the bottom left, I've got this set to quick note. There's various other things in here that you can set the corners to as well. So if you want to start your screensaver when you move into a particular corner or put your monitor to sleep, there's quite a few different options here. The other option for capturing from inside of other apps, any of Apple's apps in particular, and some other apps as well, but particularly Apple's own apps, they tie into Notes pretty tightly. So we'll just switch over to Safari here to show an example. I'm on Apple's page here for the new MacBook Pro M5. So if I wanted to start a note about this something that's on this page or just this page in general, there's a couple of options for doing that in Safari. You can either click on the share button up the top and share to notes. Down at the bottom here, you can choose the note you want to save it in. So you can either choose one of your notes to append it to the end of the note, or you can create a new note, which is the default, or a new quick note if you prefer. So here you can just add any text you want to add. And then when you save it, that note will appear in your notes with the link to the page that you saved it from or that you shared it from. The other option for doing this, say I wanted to take note of this paragraph here. If you want to actually log something specifically that's in the web page, if you highlight it and then right click, you can add it to a quick note, and that'll create a quote of the text that you highlighted on the page, as well as a link back to the page. And again, you can see this is pulling up that same new quick note that I created with the hot corner a few minutes ago. So it's just appending this to the bottom and keeping a running log. The iPhone is where I do most of my quick captures just throughout the day as things come to me. This is what I usually have with me. So most of my quick capture is done on here. Now there's a couple of options for quick captures. The option I use most often is from the control center up at the top. If you swipe down at the top right edge of the display, that's how you get into the control center. I have a quick note button here that I can tap and it'll pull up a quick note automatically, lets me put in any notes I want quickly and then go back to what I was doing. And here I'm on the home screen, so I can pull that down from the top corner, but it works in other apps as well. Let's just say I'm in my browser here. If I pull down from the top, tap quick note, it creates the new quick note. And the benefit of having it in the control center like this when you're working with other apps is it gives you the option for a lot of apps to actually link to whatever it is you're looking at. So in this case, I was looking at the Apple's homepage in the browser. So it gives me that option at the top if I want to add the link. If I do, I just tap the link and it shows up as a card in the note itself. Then when I save the note, if I go into Apple Notes, in my Quick Notes folder, there's the note that I just created with the link back to Apple's homepage. If you don't see the automatic link that just showed up in the browser or for various other apps, if you go into Settings and go into the Apps section and scroll down to Notes, there's a setting in here for suggest apps when composing, or suggest app link when composing quick note. Make sure that's turned on if you want that feature to work for you. The quick note link in Control Center is the one that I use the most because it is so handy from every other app. But there are a couple of other things that I have set up to speed things up in certain ways on the phone too. Going back to the lock screen, I actually have a widget on the lock screen to open the quick note. It's the middle one of the three at the bottom here. For some reason, Apple doesn't actually have a notes widget for lock screen widgets. So what I've got here is this widget actually runs a shortcut, which basically just opens the quick note. So this opens a new quick note entry page that I can quickly capture any ideas that I have. So if my phone's locked, all I have to do is tap that center widget, enter whatever I want to, remember. save it, and I'm back to whatever else I was doing. So that's the one I use if my phone's locked. It just gets me in there quickly. The whole point of the way I have these things set up on my phone is to minimize the number of taps and swipes. So if I'm locked, I don't want to have to unlock, swipe down, get the quick note if I can just tap one link on the front page and get into this exactly the same place. Now you can also use Control Center from the lock screen, so you could do the same thing there. Whatever is easier. I have some redundancy in some of these systems that I have set up on the phone that they're doing effectively the same thing. It's just depending on where I am and what I'm doing, different ways are more efficient for me at any given time. The other thing I have set up on the phone is I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max with the action button. So I've got a menu set up on my action button that will log things into specific notes. So add to log, I have a daily notes set up with my Apple Notes. So it will basically create a new note if the daily note hasn't been created yet for that day, and ask me for whatever text I want to log, and then it adds a log entry to that note. I'll walk through that in a sec here, but just to go through the other two. Topic idea is for anything that I think of that I want to create a video about or write a blog post or anything. If I just want to capture it quickly, that basically will give me a text prompt, and it logs it into a topics note that I have, so that it just has a running list of all the ideas that I have for things that I want to create videos or write about at some point. An apartment note, that does the same thing, but it's a note about things that I have to do in my apartment or things that I want to remember about it, whatever it is. So these are some notes that I use consistently for tracking things, and it just is easier for me to have a menu where I can go in, choose the one I want, enter the information I want, it saves it in that note, and I go back to what I was doing. So to use the add to log as an example, if I tap that, it creates the new page or the new note. You can see it created in behind there, and then enter something to log here, and done. And then what this does is it adds a bullet point below the daily log header with a timestamp and whatever text I just entered in the text box. And the way that I've got the template set up for this, the note's name is the date, the year, month, day, and then it logs the day, the actual day of the week under that as well, just so that I can refer back to it at some point. I know what day it was. And in this case, I hadn't created this daily note yet today, so that's why it popped up in behind the text entry. But if I do it again, now that it's created, it'll just ask me for the item I want to log, and then it just saves it. Now, if I go in, I've got a second line there with the timestamp and the text that I just entered, and it'll just keep adding those bullet points. So at the end of the day, when I'm doing my daily review and making, catching up, making sure I've got all my tasks sorted out for the next day, all that kind of thing, I go through this and just sort through those notes. I may create a new note with something if it's a bigger project that I want to track somehow. It might be something that I need to add to my task manager. It could be something that I just do and delete, whatever it is, but it's a running log throughout the day of all the things that I want to remember. I will have links to the shortcut for this in the description down below. The shortcut is set up for my specific system, like the names of my notes, the folders that they're in and things. So if you want to use the shortcut, you'll have to modify it for your own system. And I'll have a link to a page with some instructions on how to do that as well. But if you want to use it as sort of a starting point to create your own version of the shortcut, I'll link to a shared version of it down below. So that's my 3 quick capture options on the phone. I have the quick note widget in Control Center. I have the shortcut widget on the homepage that pops me straight into a new quick note. And I have the action button menu that lets me capture into my daily log or into the specific notes that I tend to capture into a lot. On the Apple Watch, I just tap the notes complication. Edit automatically opens to the create note and goes into dictation mode. As you can see, it's dictating everything I'm saying right now. This is a great way to create a quick note on the go if I'm out and around somewhere, if I'm on a hike or in the gym, or anything where I don't have my phone handy. I can just tap the complication on my watch, dictate what I want to say into it, and tap done. As you can see, there's lots of different ways to capture ideas into Apple Notes. Hopefully some of the tips in this video will help you optimize your own capture system so you don't lose track of all the important ideas that you have. I've got links in the description down below for all the shortcuts that I mentioned in the video, as well as the instructions for customizing them for however your own notes are set up in Apple Notes. And I'm working on a couple more videos about it, so if you're interested in learning more about what Apple Notes can do, stay tuned. And if you have any questions about how to use it, leave a comment down below and I'll answer as many questions as I can in those upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, my name's John. I'm working on simplifying some things about my productivity system and really my tech stack in general. I've switched to Apple's built-in apps as much as possible and I'm figuring out how to get the most out of them. I'm sharing what I learn along the way and hopefully some of the things that I pick up will be helpful for you too. If you want to learn more about Apple's productivity apps, you might also like this other recent video I did. And if you're interested in some of the other projects I'm working on, there's links to some of them in the description down below. I'll see you in the next video.